All right. I think I'm live again. Technical difficulties, I think. Yep. Let's go back up here. And I am back live. And you know what? My OBS shit itself, and look how terrible I look now. I mean, I am ugly, ugly. I had, for some reason, it just failed on me. So thank you very much. Racing Cajun Randy, I apologize. My OBS just all of a sudden aired out on me. So while everybody else is coming in, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and readjust myself in Semper's. I'm going to readjust myself in Semper's bunkhole. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to have to go here. We're going to go configure video. And this only takes a couple seconds. Slide that over there. I mean, because don't tell me it ain't going to work for me. Okay, I'm just going to do what I'm going to do before my shit airs out on me again. Look how bad I look. Oh my gosh, I can't stand it. And for some reason, let me slide this over here because it has to be over here. And this has to be over here in order for me to get things done. And I, again, apologize, people, for, okay, and again, I have to pull another window up because, my Lord. And what I have to do is I have to get Oklahoma back up here. I'm thinking that that's it. Waiting for everybody to get back in here. No, that isn't. That's the Reddit. Oh. Damn it. Yeah, please bear with me. My OBS crapped itself, and I had to reboot my whole entire computer. Okay. Is that it? I had to go through a link to get it. There it is. That's the House bill. I wanted the Senate bill. There it is. Senate Bill 6, I do believe. No. Gummit, I had it. Did I save it? Probably didn't because it was all set up. I had it all set up, folks. Damn it. Now I'm going to have to do. Let me remove this keyboard because that's for the top computer. Let me get back down here. I have to freaking look for it again. Oklahoma bill. Photograph against police. It's incredible. I don't know if you all. There it is. It has to be it. Okay, and I think I'll get the link from here. Yes. I have to do it the top way. Senate Bill 968. And I wish my computer wouldn't have crapped out because I look like shit now. And now I have to go ahead and find this daggum legislation again. I want the actual legislation. And I had it. Gotta be kidding me. See, the thing is I went through an article and it had a link to the bill and it took me right to the freaking bill. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. That's what I want. And that's what I thought this was. Maybe not. Okay, it's all about doxing. Maybe it was in channel 6. Yes, there it is. Okay, here we go. I got it. Thank you. See if this works. Okay, does that work? Can everybody see this? Okay, great. Now we are back on track, except for this ugly mug because now I can't adjust my camera. But are we all back in here? And I hear a feedback up here. All right. Can everybody see this? All right. Everybody relax. Take a sip of coffee. Thank you very much for hanging in there with me. Let's hope there's a few more people get in here. It's only a 3-page document. Only 3-page document. And let me explain this. This bill already went through the House. The Oklahoma House of Representatives already passed this. And it went to the Senate, or their committees. I'm sorry. It went through the House committee. And they drafted this bill. And then it got passed to the Senate committee for modification. Okay. So it went to the Senate for modification. Now it's going to be, and it was ratified, it was passed. Now it's going to be sent to the whole body. And here is what the final solution is. I'm going to take me off the camera. Right up here, the bill, Senate Bill number 6 by Rosino, Bergstrom, and Weaver of the Senate, and West, Josh West of the House. An act relating to law enforcement officers prohibiting certain disclosure of personal information of law enforcement officers, providing penalties, providing definitions, providing for codification, and providing an effective date. Let's page up. Be it enacted by the people of the state of Oklahoma. Section 1, new law. New law. A new section of law to be codified in the Oklahoma statute as section 1176 of Title 21, unless there is created a duplication in numbering. Reads as follows. A, it shall be unlawful for a person who by telephonic or electronic communication as defined in section 1172 of Title I of the Oklahoma statutes to willfully publish on a public online site or forum an attempt to publish or conspire to publish personally identifiable information of a law enforcement officer with the intent to threaten, intimidate, harass, or stalk, or as a result, cause, attempts to cause, or would be reasonably expected to cause substantial emotional distress or financial loss to that person or to that officer's family or household member or intimate partner. Except as provided in subsection C of this act, any person convicted of the provisions of subsection A of this section shall be guilty of a misdemeanor. Any person who is convicted of a second subsequent offense pursuant to this section shall be guilty of a felony. As used in subsection A of this act, personally identifiable information shall include but not be limited to name, birth date, address, telephone number, driver's license number, social security number, place of employment, mother's maiden name, or a photographer or any other realistic likeness. Likeness. So does that mean you can't draw a picture of them? Number 2, family or household member shall mean parents, including grandparents, step-parents, adoptive parents, and foster parents, children, including grandchildren, stepchildren, adopted children, and foster children, children, and persons otherwise related to by blood or marriage living in the same household. And there's always an and. Law enforcement officers shall mean any officer, agent, or employee of a state, unit of local government, or an Indian tribe authorized by law or by government agency to engage in or supervise the prevention, detection, and investigation of any violation of criminal law. This act shall become effective November 1st, 2021. Committee report by committee and appropriate blah, 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 blah. All right. So what do you think about that? What do you think about that? It's gone. It's gone. Okay, there that thing is. Okay, now we can get back to making me look better. See how gray I am? That's because I have to do this. Don't I look so much nicer now? Let me get a little bit of sharpness. Watch. Watch how. Boom. How sexy I'm looking. Oh, yeah. Now all I got to do is do this, and I'll just bring me right in. Okay, now I'm looking better, aren't I? Okay, now that everybody's back in here, now can I critique this bill? Now that I'm looking really good for you, see? I'm freaking awesome. Let's critique this. I'm going to stay on camera, and we're going to go down this. Okay, it shall be unlawful for any person who by telephonic or electronic communication as defined in this section willfully publish on a public online site or forum or to attempt to publish or conspire to publish personal identifiable information of a law enforcement officer. See how they put that up there? They specifically say, first responder heroes. We've got to protect our heroes. They put them right the frick up front. You see what I mean? Now, these little nefarious sons of bitches in these legislatures have got to freaking learn for once and for freaking all. Okay? And I'm going to explain here whenever I'm done critiquing this, and I'm going to show a video right after I'm done critiquing this, which will bitch slap these people in Oklahoma. I don't understand these people, but I digress. They always put this up here first. Law enforcement officer, the heroes. Okay. With the intent to threaten, intimidate, harass, or stalk, or as a result attempt to cause, or would be reasonably expected to cause substantial emotional distress. Oh, them poor little hero snowflakes. We're going to cause them emotional distress by holding them accountable by putting a camera in front of their face to make sure that they ain't planting that breaking evidence in that car. Okay, so let's move on. That really opens it up for, you can't film any police officer, right? Now, you're thinking this bill's only about police officers because they want to round it off to a simple thing. Like first responders and heroes, them specific heroes for the stupid people. So then they keep pumping out into the media that this bill's for the heroes and doxing. And, we don't want, there's been a rash of murders, cop murders and all of that. When in reality, police in reality, police's jobs are like, I think, 13th or 15th in the list of the most dangerous jobs in the United States. A roofer. There's more roofer deaths in this country than police deaths. So cut me a break. But anyhow, then Blue Line Slayer says, can they do that even though there is case law, Turner versus Driver? Okay. Then Blue Line Slayer, there was another case right at the same time as Turner versus Driver. And I'm going to get to that. Very good, Thin Blue Line Slayer. See, that's why I love you, man, because you're, filming the police. It's been established case law, but not only because of Turner versus Driver. Okay, I move on. Let's step past all the conviction part. They're gonna fucking hammer you for it. Let's move on to one. Personally, this is the definitions of what you're not allowed to film and to disseminate. Intent. Remember intent. What they're saying is it's illegal. You could film them, but you can't deliver it. You can film it, but you can't distribute it. You can film it for your own personal little diary, for all of posterity's sake, just so that it will go down in your family history as an heirloom. Okay. Now, you could film a police officer and keep it for history, your personal history. You could film their name. You could film their birth date. You could have their address. You could have their telephone number. You could have their driver's license. You could have their social security number. You could have their place of employment. You could have their mother's maiden name. You could have a photograph or a likely drawing, a realistic likeness. If you are not going to put it online, so see, that's what they're doing. Well, I just turned it around, and I just turned it around that you're allowed to have this information, other than to put it online. Doxing. Okay, Racing Cajun Randy, that's right. Turner applies only to the Fifth Circuit. Very good. See, I don't even have to reference this anymore because you guys, I'm just like preaching to the choir. But, and that's great. I love that you throw this case law up. That's what I do. That's what I'm here for. So, I'm getting out of breath. Calm down, Matt. Take a drink. And you know what else I'm going to do? Everybody take a break. Ponder this. You know what I'm going to do? That's, yes, DSS. That's right. That's right. I'm going to put a chew in. Copenhagen, anybody? Anybody want to chew? No? Okay. Okay. In this Oklahoma law, you're allowed to have all this information right here as long as you do not disseminate it online. Number 2, right here. Number 2 definition, family or household member shall mean parents, including grandparents, step-parents, adoptive parents, and foster parents. I guess there is adoptive parents. People do adopt parents, I imagine, so, okay. I was not personally in my household, but hey, yeah, to each his own. Children. And then, you know, notice how they hammer the children. We gotta get the children's safety in there. Children, 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 and more freaking children. Get it? Okay. Just for the propaganda value alone, it's golden. And then number 3, law enforcement officer definition. Okay, see, it's just insane because they say definition, law enforcement officer shall mean any officer, agent, or employee of a state. Oh, wait a second. What does that mean? Honest to goodness, okay, if you're going to call every employee or employee of the state or employee, it doesn't say law enforcement employee, it says, or of course they do call it the Law Enforcement Act, and I would imagine that, but under this definition of law enforcement, to me, shall mean any officer, comma, agent, or employee of a state. That's the way I'm gonna err on the caution that they're devious sons of bitches, and they're gonna put that meaning in there so that there's a little loophole, including the local or the state health or the county health and human services, or it says state employee right now, but state employee, they could mutate it. Or local government. I didn't even think about that. I'm looking right at it, and this is local government, and I just, I even read it once. I just couldn't believe it. I think I read past it, and I was so focused on the employee of the state that I missed a unit of any local government. Now, you are never allowed to film in public. If you drive by with your video camera attached to your dashboard and you catch a police officer live, when you're live, you're a truck driver. A lot of truck drivers drive down the street. Okay? I'm going to do this. I'm sorry. This thing's going to be nuked. It's just ridiculous. Why stop with that one? Let's do this one. No. No. Fuck that. Let's throw a little suitcase nuke out there. You know, yeah. What do you guys think about that? Okay, so you guys were talking, I know what you think about it. You were talking about Turner versus Driver, and somebody had said Terry versus Ohio. If that was the thought process, then Terry versus Ohio would only pertain to Ohio. Okay. Now, DSS, there was one other case right around the same time as Turner versus Driver, 2017. This case, and enjoy the video, this case was called Fields versus Philadelphia.
I'd like to start by discussing why this court should rule on the constitutional question in this case and recognize that the First Amendment protects the right to record the police before moving on to the issues.
When you say record, do you mean both photograph and videotape?
Yes, Your Honor. And I'd like to deal with...
Do you make a distinction between the two or not?
We do not, Your Honor. Certainly, recordings of anything we believe are protected by the First Amendment because they are inherently expressive. Photographs, videos, audio recordings, they need not be of public officials to enjoy the protection of the Constitution, but the right is even stronger here because we're talking about recordings of police officers performing their duties in public. And I want to emphasize that the existence of a First Amendment right is not disputed here. The defendants don't defend the decision below. And indeed, Philadelphia Police Department policy since 2011 has prohibited retaliation for recording the police, and since 2012 has expressly identified this as a right protected by the First Amendment.
Lower your voice or you're going to jail. This guy, okay? Do you believe in it?
We have thorough analysis from the First Circuit in Glick and the Seventh Circuit in Alvarez, an unbroken line of decisions recognizing that there's a First Amendment right to record the police.
Sit down. Sit down. Do you understand that? When I tell you to do something, you do it.
Yeah, is that right?
Okay.
You're on a power trip? Is that what it is?
No.
Okay.
I need you to listen. That's what's up.
No court of appeals, and to my knowledge, no district court has held that there is no, other than in this case, has held that there's no First Amendment right to record the police in public.
No, I'm giving you permission to stop telling me, get it off your chest and see what happens. Don't.
That additional precedent put the question beyond debate. And perhaps even more important, also in that interim, we had a statement from the Department of Justice that the First Amendment protects the right to record the police, and 2 internal departmental policies on this issue.
Slap the out of me and get it off your chest. No, I'm giving you permission to slap the out of me, get it off your chest and see what happens.
In this case, we have a breathtaking amount of evidence that the Philadelphia police had a pattern of arresting or citing people for recording or attempting to record the police.
Lower your voice or you're going to jail.
Why don't we hear from Mr. Gottlieb, and we'll get you back in rebuttal.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Now listen to this dweeb.
Craig Gottlieb representing the appellees.
Well, let me ask, are you willing, what's your position? Is there or is there not a right, First Amendment right to videotape police officers?
Well, our threshold
Because your
position.
brief kind of dances around it. What's your
The
position?
city's position is that on the idiosyncratic facts of this case, there is no right. And
What is idiosyncratic about a sophomore at Temple taking out his cell phone and shooting an arrest being done? That happens throughout America probably every minute.
I don't understand why you're doing this, why you're pushing me
Because I don't
around.
like people testing me.
Did Mr. Fields have a First Amendment right to take that picture, yes or no?
Mr. Fields did not.
Did not.
Did not.
Did not?
Did not.
So the young man did not have
He
a First
did not.
Amendment
He's
right.
on a public street. He sees an arrest taking place. He's got nothing to do with it. He takes out his camera, and he does not have a right to film that. The police are they're doing their public job on a public street.
That's right, Your Honor.
You're on a power trip? Is that what it is?
No.
And it has to do because of what he intends to do with the picture.
No.
He's keeping it for himself.
Let me go back. You're saying that it's tethered to his intent as to what he's going to do with the picture?
Yes.
That's really?
Yes.
What's your support for the premise that First Amendment rights are tethered to somebody's intent?
And
This is a kid who said, this is a cool picture. I'm going to take a picture.
he wants to take a picture for himself. He's not planning on this. I mean, there's no evidence that his plan is to disseminate it. That's the touchstone of the argument here. That
So the First
collecting
Amendment's tethered to your intent to disseminate the information.
Disseminate.
No, I'm giving you permission to slap the shit out of me, get it off your chest, and see what happens. No, I'm giving you permission to slap the shit out of me, get it off your chest, and see what happens. No, I'm giving you permission to slap the shit out of me, get it off your chest, and see what happens. Don't.
So basically, what you're suggesting, if I gather it correctly, is there somehow has to be in his mind some type of expressive communication intent.
correct.
Lower your voice or you're going to jail.
To this guy, okay? Do you believe in this?
Name any other court in America that's come down that way.
Well, I again,
Let's go back 25 years ago to 1992. And you've got Rodney King being photographed being beaten by 4 police officers. You don't think for a moment that that's not going to hit the news? Which it did, of course.
I don't understand why you're doing this, why you're pushing me
Because I don't
around.
like people testing me. I don't like people
I don't
not
like
my orders.
Nazis either, okay? Are you done?
And so isn't the right to film, which is an integral link in the ultimate giving of that film to the news media, protected as being peripheral, even if it is expressive intent that's needed, or expressive conduct that's needed, excuse me?
I would say because of the expressive conduct, it's protected. Yes.
Well, we don't know if Mr. Fields was going to give this to the news media. It might be on Channel 10 tonight, that very night.
Yes.
Because that's how often the news media, all the channels here, are asking people in the community who see something to give them that type of information because it's a scoop for them. So why isn't that a link in the chain to the 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock news tonight?
Well, if it is a link in the chain to the 10 o'clock news, then it is expressive. But if it's a diary or one's own internal
This
thoughts,
kid's not doing a diary. He's filming an arrest on a street in North Philly.
we have no idea about that.
But let me, how
we
do you
we have
reconcile-
no idea.
How do you reconcile your argument or your position with your client's position? And I'm reading from the Philadelphia Directive 145, Policy A. Private individuals have a First Amendment right to observe and record police officers engaged in the public discharge of their duties. That's what your client's saying.
Right.
You tell me that they're wrong?
And a year earlier, the Commissioner Ramsey saying that all police personnel, while conducting official business or while acting in an official capacity in any public space, should reasonably anticipate and expect to be photographed, videotaped, and/or audibly recorded by members of the general public.
Yes.
Isn't that where we are today in the 1st, the 5th, the 7th, the 9th, and the 11th circuits? That you have a constitutional right to film police officers doing the public portion of their job in public.
You're on a power trip? Is that what it is?
De-escalation. It worked. Veteran. And 2 days in
But
jail.
hasn't the world changed dramatically just in the last 5 years?
There's
Don't
that.
you have police officers with, police cams? And I think the thought is, at least from what I've read with regard to police, this protects us. When we're doing our job and somebody is saying something about how we handle a case, we've got the videotape to show that we've done it correctly.
I do.
Can I show you my ID?
Give me the arm.
I've done nothing.
Stop talking!
However, where there's no testimony at all that there is a plan to disseminate, and that is the situation with Mr. Fields. He thought it was a cool picture. All we know is that he planned to keep it himself, no different than a diary.
So if he had said, I'm going to show this to my fraternity brothers or to my brother, then the First Amendment attaches?
Then it's different than a diary, yes.
As I listen to your argument, Counselor, I am wondering about this intent to disseminate. I'm wondering what would have happened had Zapruder what was in Zapruder's mind when he took that 8mm film of the assassination of President Kennedy that has become the most famous 8mm film in the world. What would have happened under your theory if he had been stopped because he had no plan to disseminate it?
At that time.
At that time, when he took it.
If he had been deposed and said that there was a possibility of dissemination, that would be different.
There is that possibility. He could see something, and it could be on the news that night. We just talked about it.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Fields, he filmed something, and he's thinking, you know what? This could be on TV tonight. And I could be getting credit for this too.
If
Life is good.
If he was thinking that would change the calculation.
Sit down. Sit down. Do you understand that? When I tell you to do something, you do it.
Yeah, is that right?
Okay.
You're on a power trip? Is that what it is?
No.
Okay.
I need you to listen. That's what's up.
Doesn't it trouble you that, taking your argument to its logical extreme, that none of us have a First Amendment right unless we intend to disseminate the information? That's what you're telling us.
No, I'm giving you permission to slap on me, get it off your chest, and see what happens. Don't.
If you're asking me whether I'm troubled by the fact that a diary is not
There's no First
protected,
Amendment. The First Amendment is gone unless you're going to disseminate the information.
You're on a power trip? Is that what it is?
No.
Unless you intend to disseminate the information at the time of taking the film.
Is that your position?
If you ultimately, if it's for yourself only, it's
You have
not
no
protected.
First Amendment right.
It's not
That's your
protected.
position.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm just standing on the street corner talking to this guy I just met, and all of a sudden you're pushing me down and being real physical with
Yeah,
me.
you know
And
why?
I don't understand. No, I
Okay.
don't know why.
Lower
okay?
your voice. Lower your voice.
Really?
Okay?
Do I have to do this
Yes,
to
I'm telling you to
command me?
voice.
Okay.
Listen to me.
Because
I'm going to
you
tell
got
you
a
one more time.
badge on?
I'm going
Is
to
that
tell you
what it
one more
is?
time, or you're going to go to jail.
Is that right?
Lower your voice, or you're going to jail.
You want to do something? Slap the shit out of me. Get it off your chest. Slap the shit out of me and get it off your chest.
He's talking to you, sir.
Slap the shit out of me and get it off your chest. No, I'm giving you permission to slap the shit out of me, get it off your chest, and see what happens. Don't. Turn around. Turn around. You know, that was stupid.
That was stupid.
Lower your voice or you're going to jail.
To this guy, okay? Do you believe in this?
Sit down. Sit down. Do you understand that? When I
Yeah.
tell you to do something, you do it.
Yeah, is that right?
Okay.
You're on a power trip? Is that what it is?
No.
Okay.
I need you to listen. That's what's up.
I'm just standing on the street corner talking to this guy I just met, and all of a sudden you're pushing me down and being real physical with
Yeah,
me.
you know
And
why?
I don't understand. No, I
Okay.
don't know why.
Lower
okay?
your voice. Lower your voice.
Really?
Okay?
Do I have to do this
Yes,
to
I'm
command
telling you
me?
the voice.
Okay.
Listen to me.
Because
I'm going to
you got
tell
a
you one more time.
badge on?
I'm going
Is
to
that
tell you
what it
one more
is?
time and you're going to go to jail.
Is that right?
Lower your voice or you're going to jail. Do you have ID on you, sir?
Yes, sir. I
Okay.
sure do. I don't understand why you're doing this. Why you're pushing me
Because I don't
around.
like people testing me. I don't like people
I don't
not
like
my orders.
Nazis either. Okay. Are you done? Can I show you my ID?
Give me the arm.
I've done nothing.
Stop talking! When you walk up to an officer and you get that close to an officer, it is not good. Why? Because now you're in my personal space. So I am telling you to back up, and
It's
when you don't
okay
back
for
up,
you- it's
when you
okay
don't back up,
for you.
yes, when
to
I
get
give
in
you an
my
order,
personal space,
right? Because when
okay?
I give you an order,
Because you're on a power trip. Because
when
you
I
wear a
give you
tin
order,
badge. Is that right?
because when I give you an order and you don't follow it, that's what happens. I told you to back up and you didn't. I told you back up again or I'm going to sit you down and you didn't. So I sat you down. That's how it works.
Is
Do you
that how it
understand that?
works?
Yes.
All we say to America is be true to what you said on paper. If I lived in China or even Russia or any totalitarian country, maybe I could understand some of these illegal injunctions. Maybe I could understand the denial of certain basic First Amendment privileges because they haven't committed themselves to that
Oklahoma
over there.
law.
But somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest far right. And so just as I say we aren't going to let any dogs or water hoses turn us around, we aren't going to let any injunction turn us around.
Injunctions. Laws. Illegal
Well, I
laws.
don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now because I've been to the mountaintop. I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
Wow. Okay. So. It literally brings tears to my eyes, man. There have been a lot of great people, man. A lot of greater people than me. A lot of greater people than a lot. That really sacrificed, right? For us to have freedoms. And when I read bills like this, you know, what if you weren't allowed to film the hoses? What if you weren't allowed to film the dogs being sicked on people? Nightly News wouldn't have been able to publish any of that. I mean, Nightly News, if you would, I mean, if you look back at the history of filmography, they were taking pictures of public. The first image ever taken was an image in France of a city scene where there was a shoe shiner shining a shoe of a man all the way down there. They took a rooftop shot. If you can't film in public, if you can't film what's right in front of your eyes, if you can't document, if you can't take an image or a video and hold people accountable of our government, you're lost, man. You're done. Your history. Your children won't have these rights. Nobody will have these rights. But that's all right. Unfortunately, Oklahoma, sorry about that, folks. I mean, Racing Cajun Randy says, unfortunately, Oklahoma is in the Fourth Circuit, which as yet does not have an equivalent to Turner versus Driver. And let me tell you, I have a case from the Fourth Circuit that was about filming in public. It was brought up to the Fourth Circuit. And what happened was, I do believe this was before Turner versus Driver and Fields versus Philadelphia. I may stand corrected, but I do believe it was prior to that. Maybe it was right around the same time, within a year or two of Turner versus Driver and Fields versus Philadelphia, which really solidified filming in public. Really, especially filming police, particularly about filming police. Okay, so there was a case in North Carolina, I do believe, in the Fourth Circuit. And the case was about an individual that was filming a traffic stop. Been a long time. And they sued upon a constitutional grounds, 1983, and pretty sure. And yeah. And what ended up happening is they did a maneuver, a judicial maneuver. There were two charges against the police or the city or whatever it was. There was a violation of filming, and then you had qualified immunity. On the one hand, they were suing because they were arrested for filming. On the other hand, the government said, well, the police have qualified immunity because it's not established enough case law throughout the circuits or Supreme Court that filming in public is a right. So what the court did was, instead of taking the case first of the discriminatory act of filming, they took the qualified immunity part first and they put the filming second. The court said that the police had qualified immunity because it wasn't established enough case law to then bring the charge of discriminatory practices on the First Amendment to film. That's how that case law worked. And I'm pretty sure on one of my previous shows, first season, I went through that case. I'm almost positive I went through that case. I can't remember it, but what they did again is there were two parts of it. There was a filmographer who was arrested, and he was charging that his rights were violated because he was arrested. The police said that they had qualified immunity, and the court said, well, we'll handle the qualified immunity part first, and we'll handle the civil rights violation second. When the court determined that the police had qualified immunity, there was no longer to look at the second part of the case, so they kicked it out. That's how that works. So there was one case that's been brought up in front of the Fourth Circuit, and they did that on purpose. They did that on purpose, I believe. Yeah, it's 10th Circuit. That's right. And that's why I said North Carolina is a 4th Circuit. And the Oklahoma, this law right here, this law right here is blatantly unconstitutional. I don't even know why they would bring this. I don't have, are they stupid? Are they really this stupid that you cannot, through a telephone or electronic communications, willfully publish anything on a online site or forum, or attempt to publish, conspire, publish personal identification information, law enforcement officers with the intent to threaten, intimidate, harass, stalk, or as a result cause or attempt to cause that would reasonably expect to cause substantial emotional distress and financial loss to the person. Oh no. The cop's going to have to take time off for stress. Poor baby. Somebody put their picture online. It was so traumatic. I got a question for these dillweeds here. What about surveillance cameras? I don't read anything in here that says the surveillance cameras outside of storefronts are exempt. Are you going to prosecute every business owner that has a security camera that catches a police officer going to get a donut and a coffee? Or is Dunkin' Donuts going to have to shut their surveillance cameras off? Because it might be disseminated online. You never know. The owner might just be transmitting that online. And you never know. It might just get out. A lot of shops have their cameras online. You could go to Florida or any state and see online cafes that have outdoor and indoor cameras going all the time. I watched some really horrible karaoke performers one night down in some dive in Florida. They were horrible, but somehow fascinating. I watched it for hours. Couldn't get enough of it. All right. I'm going to end this show. I'm going to thank Racing Cajun Randy. Ben Blue Line Slayer, thank you very much. Thank you for coming in. And I do apologize earlier about that OBS crashing on me. You know, it seems like every time I run OBS in administrative mode, it crashes on me. Whenever I run it normally, it runs fine. Don't understand. Tim, the man, I know you showed up late, and I'm sorry I didn't give you the props. I don't want to interfere with Martin Luther King too much. Laura Peterson. Thank you very much, Laura Peterson, for coming in December's Bunkhole. 300 feet deep, safe, underground from any doomsday, especially the doomsday of government. Ooh, just makes my body chill. I think that's all that's been in here. I mean, I pretty much ruined my show whenever my my OBS went off. But let's get out of here. You know, can I blow this? Can I do this one more time? Can I blow this up one more time? This is going to be destroyed right here. I cannot wait for a bunch of auditors to go down to Oklahoma. I cannot wait to see them going around the Capitol building of Oklahoma. Filming government officials. Isn't that what we normally can see and do? If we can't keep an eye on our government by filming them, what's next? They're going to pluck our eyeballs out? Think about it. If they're taking our cameras away from us, they're plucking our third eyeball out and a second brain. So they're plucking our third eyeball out with the brain and the brain stem of the third eye, which is a phone or a camera. But seriously, what's next? Are they going to pass a law to blindfolded? Oh, no. You know what it is? Remember them horse blinders? You know, everybody's going to have to walk around with them horse blinders on, you know, like this. No filming in public anymore. No taking selfies. That's what these people are saying. Right. You won't even be able to look at them. All around pig's ass is pork. How are you doing? Your ass is pork. That's a funny name. All around pig's ass is pork. I like that. Jury selection starts soon. Oh my gosh. I don't even want to think about that. Oh, the George Floyd case. That's right. That's right. All right. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go back to the living room. Let's get out of here. Go back to the living room. And, of course, we have got to, Floyd. I can't, man. I think either way, it's going to be mayhem. It's just either way that turns out. Either way, I don't think people are going to be satisfied with it. I think people are just going to. I think it's just going to not matter what happens. I mean, I think that I really believe people have had it up to here. And I'm not just saying Black Lives Matter and Antifa and all of that. Antifa is an extremist group that is funded by George Soros and all of that, and they're actually Marxists. And I don't prescribe to Marxists. But you know what? You live in America, and you can be a Marxist if you want. That's the great thing about America. You can believe whatever you want to believe. But whenever you start burning down buildings and shit, that's where I end it. That's where I would end it. Antifa is so well identified in these riots. They are the ones that are driving the crowds. They're the ones that are initiating the smashing out of the windows, which gives the people the opportunity to do nefarious things. It isn't. I really believe that they're agent provocateurs, and I believe that they are the ones that start the fires, and they're the ones that start breaking shit. And you can see they have green lights on their helmets. If they would, and then you got the other side. They say the other side, which is the riots in D.C. No, they didn't burn. They didn't burn the building down. I don't think that there was one Taco Bell burnt in that vicinity. I didn't see any car dealerships going up in downtown D.C. If they have car dealerships, I don't know if they have car dealerships down there. But I didn't see any of that. I saw a whole bunch of pissed off people. I saw a lot of pissed off people. I saw a whole bunch of them rush in. Again, some are agent provocateurs, busting the windows out. I really believe that. I think that there was inside jobs, like there's inside jobs in every protest. And the government has their fingers in every protest. Quote, protest. These are not really protests. The government controls all of the protests. It's easy to herd groups through alleys with freaking barbed wire fence all around them. Kind of reminds me of a cattle trough leading into a slaughterhouse, the way that they guide these crowds and they flank these crowds and they have snipers for these crowds. Doesn't matter if you're Black Lives Matter or it's any crowd that gets together, they do this. That's where people need to stop thinking compartmentalizing and tribalism, this group and that group and this group. They do it to us all. The government is the one that separates us. We don't separate ourselves. We are subject to propaganda and media manipulation of liking or disliking one group or the other, when I believe that the Constitution unifies us all. I don't think parties unify us. I don't think the Democrat, Republican, I don't think groupism unifies us. I think everybody's an individual, and that's why auditing is so great, is because it's all individuals going out doing individual things their own individual way. Groupism sucks. Groupism is a formulation of mental manipulation by the government. They're the only ones that are allowed to ask you what your race is. There isn't any private business out there that would ever dare to ask you what your race is when they hire you or when they offer services to you. They're not allowed by law, but the government sure the hell can. Why? Because they want to know that information so that then they can go ahead and separate you. Yeah, so, hey, Truth Seeker, I'm out of here. On that note, thank you for letting me stand on my soapbox in my bunkhole. Here we go. All right. Good going, man. All right. I hope you all enjoyed that. I hope it was informative. They're coming at us, man. They're coming at us at a base level. I mean, that bill right there, that Oklahoma is apparently passing or has passed. I'm not even sure if they passed it or not. I would imagine they did. Just insane. It's insane. And it'll be interesting to see how many auditors go down there and challenge that. All right. Thank you very much for showing up in the Semper's Bunkhole. See you next Monday. Hopefully next Monday I won't have any technical difficulties, but thanks for coming back in, and see you next week, next Monday.